Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. I am doing something new. I decided that I wanted to talk more about leadership, and so why not do it live? So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm gonna wait and see if anybody comes on. This is a really important topic, you guys, and the way, excuse me, the way I approach it is really coming from an authentic and vulnerable space because that has been the journey that I've had to come on, and it's helped me tremendously when I'm leading other people, when I'm either leading teams or being part of teams. It's always helped me when I've been able to lead from a vulnerable, authentic space. So I wanted to come on here and talk about that a little bit. So this is Thought Leadership Thursday. I do plan on doing this on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know if you're on the West Coast, that means you have to get up early, but that's okay. But this, like I said, this is a really important topic that we really need to be talking about more. So, what are some things that you think about whenever you think about leadership? Most of us have had leaders in our lives. We've seen negative leading and we've seen some positive leading. So I want you to really think about some of the leaders that you've come across and what that looks like for you. For me, you know, I came across many leaders. I was in the military for a little over 15 years. So, we definitely had our share of leadership changes over time. And, even before I went into the military, I've been in the workforce since I was 14 years old. So I always had different leaders. And I've seen leaders that really were toxic, and I've seen leaders that actually were leading and educating and teaching the people behind them. And to me, I gained more off of the secondary part because when I get to feel included, I am able to thrive a whole lot more. So one of the things that I do with either even clients, I do this. I have them do a DISC assessment, where that's a personality assessment that we kind of look at. Okay, what are some different personality types? So we have the D, which is like basically they're very direct. They want everything short, sweet, and to the point. We have the I, which is what I tend to be. I fall in every quadrant a little bit, but I'm mostly I and mostly S, and I'll get to what S is. But the I is kind of the inspiration people. They're the people that, they're trying to get the people together. They're encouraging. They are a little bit more empathetic, compassionate. So they're working from that space. The S is your supporters. Your supporters are amazing. I am usually high I, high S, and that's because I play different roles depending on where I am. I have different things that I'm a part of. Uh, and so, I have my own businesses where I have to be more kind of a little bit more direct, and I'm still and I still want to support them because I want to make sure that they thrive. But at the end of the day, I have to be, a lot more clear as well. Then I have other businesses that I'm the supporter. I don't know all the details. I Oftentimes I have no clue what's going on on the back end, to be honest, but I know that I'm there for a reason. And so my job is to find the places that are missing and be that supporter person. So with the things that I have on the platform called Convene Communities, I am a support person there where, I have my own stuff that I create, but then I also go in and support other people. And I think that's really important. Collaboration is key. I always say I'm not the one who needs to be able to do everything. I'll always love to have different people around me. So, it's important to not just take from people though, but to always, always give back. So it should be a reciprocation. Hey, good morning. If you're on here, I see that we got some people from LinkedIn. So good morning. Good morning. All right. So that's the S. The S is a supporter person. And then we have the C. The C is usually for clarity. I think about they're the strategy people. They have to have everything written right in front of them. They need to have outlines. They need to have, um, sometimes it's to a fault. So here's where you have to find that balance because sometimes the C's are to a fault. They have to have everything perfect. We can't operate like that. So we have to make sure that we are balancing. However, if we don't know what our personalities are, we can't change anything, or we have to become self aware. So, the first important key in becoming a good leader is becoming self aware. We all have blind spots. So, it's also important to have people around us who aren't afraid to tell us about our blind spots, right? And we have to have those people, we have to respect those people enough to where when they tell us these things, we're not taking it as an attack, right? I lived in survival mode most of my life. And so a lot of times when people were trying to help me back in the day, I took it as like a personal attack, but that was not the case. It was really, they were just trying to genuinely help me. So, what I had to learn along the way, and as I got older, and as I became a leader, I had to learn that, not everything is a personal attack. Sometimes we have to, understand that there are people in our corner. They genuinely want to help. They just don't always know how. So it's important for them to communicate that because if they don't communicate that, no one knows anything, right? But that's why it's really important for me as a leader and as a follower to have assessments in place because I need to get to know my people before we even start. The problem is, I see this a lot in corporations and businesses, right? And I've done it before. The problem is, we want everybody to just be able to operate like us. Why is it so hard? Right? But unfortunately, that is not how it goes, right? So it'd be great if I onboarded, 5 people and they all, thought like me and were just like, "Yeah, let's figure it out. And we'll do this and do that." But the problem is that's not going to be the case ever. So that's why I put these assessments in place. So I have my teams, they all take a DISC assessment, and I also have them take a learning styles assessment. I have my clients do this as well because I have different ways of teaching. I do videos, I'm a writer, so I write a lot. Um, a lot of things I do are online, so it's not a lot of kinesthetic hands-on. So I have to make sure that when I do my teaching, I'm actually having people like when I do my calls with my calls with my clients, I have them write stuff down. Um, because that way I'm tapping into that kinesthetic learner. I am a kinesthetic, hands-on, visual learner. I am not someone who can listen to something and memorize it for the most part. I might remember bits and pieces. If I'm listening to something, if I'm taking notes and I'm watching it, then I can easily pick it up. But if I'm just listening, there will be some things that I'll remember, especially if it's very, very interesting. Um, but if it's not something that I'm really interested in and I'm just listening, usually 9 times out of 10, and this is just me, I'm doing something else, and I'm not really listening. So I need to make sure that I know how my people learn. This is very important for all my leaders out there. Make sure You are taking the time up front to learn your people, because that's also going to show the people around you that they are important too. Normally, what happens, especially when we have CEOs, the CEO is the limelight, right? You'll see the CEO on all the graphics. The CEO is on all the social media posts, right? You don't always see the people in the background. So it's up to us as the CEOs, as the leaders, to ensure we are taking care of our people. We have to make sure this is something that I also teach a lot of leaders because it's something I've learned to implement. Weekly meetings, weekly meetings. Okay. It doesn't have to be every single day, but there has to be a day out of the week. And if you have, people all over the world, that's okay. We have this great thing called technology that we can implement. All right. I have coaches that I was training, mentoring, and coaching. So, but they were all over, scattered all over the United States. I had some people that were 3 hours behind, I had some people that, were wherever. So, for that, I still had the weekly meeting, but what I did was I put out kind of a survey and just, hey, here's 3 days that I'm available, three times. What works for you? Right now, you're giving them some ownership over the times that work for them because they have to look at their schedules too. I mean, all of us, for the most part, a lot of us are parents, a lot of us have other things going on. We have to make sure that we're letting our people know that we are taking care of them too and we care. Now, can I be readily available 24/7? No. But guess what? I don't expect them to be either. So it's important for me to throw out, two or three different times where I can say, this is what I have available. What, is there anything? And if that those times and days aren't available to them, okay, well, help me fix the problem, right? Don't just tell me you're not available. I want to know, then you need to give me 3 times and 3 days that you're available, right? Now we can kind of come together. This is something that has to be done in the beginning. And I know it seems like a lot of work, but it's so important. If we want to have a good team, I mean, think about it. If anybody out there ever played sports, I played sports, right? There was absolutely no way we would win a game if we were not on the same page, if we were not working together, if we were not communicating, right? If we were not practicing together. So think of these weekly meetings as your practice. This is your practice where you're bringing your team together and you have different guidelines. Hey, here's some things that we need to go over this week. Here is some indicators that we need to make sure, key performance indicators, we make sure we hit those this week. This has to happen. What happens is a lot of these things don't happen, and then the teams fall apart, and the owner of the team is just like, "Oh, I don't understand what's going on." Well, it's because the leader has to make sure everyone around them is on the same page and also understand that not everyone operates the same. This is super important, you guys. So, when you think of a thought leader, one of the things that I think of, they're more than just an expert, right? They're visionaries. They're shaping the future. They're inspiring change, right? Like I always say, I don't conform very well, right? So for me, I love to, shift what's normal, the societal norms. I like to go against the grain. All right. So I usually end up surrounded by people who operate similarly to me because that's what, like attracts like, right? So that's what I think about. They offer valuable insights and transcend boundaries. Hopefully, I'm offering some insights for anyone out there who, maybe you didn't think about having an assessment for your team, right? Now you can say, you know what? This is something that I missed. And it's never too late. That's something else I want everybody to understand. It's never too late. Even if you've been running your team for years, um, you can still say, hey, I found this great new thing. I just heard about this today. Let's try it out. right? And but make it fun too, don't make it a task, right? Don't make it a task, but make it something that's fun. Hey, this is a great way for us to not only learn each other, but also learn ourselves. These assessments allow us to learn more about ourselves. I wish they would do them in schools, you know, because a lot of the kids don't even know what makes them tick. So we need to be able to find out what's going on within us so that we can not only be better leaders, but also better followers. All right. And it's up to our leaders to make sure they are leading the way by saying, "Hey, I'm noticing that things are falling apart a little bit. Let's convene. Let's come together." I'm on the platform called Convene Community, so we always say, "Hey, let's convene. Let's reconvene." Right? Like, we do this all the time, and when we are part of a good team, reconvening is a thing. We do calls every single week. Every Monday, we do a group call where the community leaders come on. Hey, what's working for you? What's not working for you? Um, you know, what are some things that you're good at? And we collaborate with each other. We bounce ideas off of each other. If you're in a leadership position, if you're leading alone, that's a problem because I always say, like, I don't know everything, right? So it's important for me to get to know the teams that I'm working with, get to know who they are, what they're about, what their goals are, right? Like, for my leaders out there, think about, are you having these conversations with your people? Do you understand them at all? Or are you just plugging them into a spot and hoping they'll operate the way you want them to? My facial expressions should say everything. Okay. You can't just plug people into a spot and hope that they'll operate like you want them to. You got to tell them what you need. Okay. You got to find out who they are, how they operate. Because maybe where you plug them in isn't where they're supposed to be. But you can't know that until you actually get to know who they are. And it can take months and years to get to know someone. So why not save some time, some anxiety, some stress, some overwhelm, and some confusion by just adding in some simple assessments? This is super easy, you guys. There's free assessments. So if you're a small business, like I do the free one, no biggie. All right. So those are some tips for all my leaders out there. When we lead as a thought leader, we are leading with purpose, wisdom, and authenticity. So I want you to really turn the mirror around and examine yourself. How are you leading? And even if you're in a place like a corporation where you're just an employee, you're still leading in some place in your life. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's just your peers. But I promise you, someone is looking up to you somewhere. So all of us can end up being a leader. When I first entered the military, I didn't think about, later on really, but I did. I ended up leading teams later on. We were on deployments. I was an instructor for a while. I had to lead, and I had to figure out how to do that well. And it really took getting to know people. If you're a leader and you lack compassion, you might want to re-examine that. If you're a leader and you don't have healthy boundaries and you have too much compassion, you might want to examine that. We can't be good leaders if we're people pleasers, and that's something I had to learn. So when I talk about being transparent, everything that I talk about are things that I've had to work through, and I still constantly have to work through them. So that's why I'm very, open about these things because I know I am not the only one out there that is struggling with these things. So it's up to me at this point to talk outwardly about these things. So that way, maybe someone out there can look at it and be like, I never thought about that. Right. Because when I surround myself by really good leaders, and I had some great leaders in the military, I had some not so great leaders too. So I always thank all of them because the not so great leaders taught me what not to do. or what I should do, and the great leaders also taught me what I should do. So I always aspire to be more like the great leaders, right? Like if I had, I was in the Air Force, so if I had a chief who, everyone respected that person, um, they went to bat for the people around them, always took up for the team, communicated very well, made sure that the people were taken care of. If I had a person, and I did have a couple people like that, one specifically that stands out to me that I still keep in touch with to this day. If I have people like that, that shows me what I should aspire to be like. And that's exactly what I did. I was like, I want to be more like that person. Now, am I going to be exactly like that person? No. I have my own quirks. I have my own things that I have to work through. My life was probably different. My upbringing may have been different, right? So that's where I have to become very, very self aware. The more self aware I become, the better off I am, not just for myself, but everyone else around me. So I want you to think about those things. I'm going to go ahead and hop off here, but I do hope that this helped you in some way, shape, or form. Please come in to my community. You can find the community. Let's see if I can find here. Mm, Let's see, I'll figure this out at some point. But basically, you can find my community by going to here. I'm going to type it out here. It's a link tree and it's just Jody Watkins. So link tree Jody Watkins. I am not the most tech savvy person. I love to educate. So if there's anybody out there who is more tech savvy than me, great. Link up with me, please. Like I said, I do plan on doing this every Thursday at 9 a.m., Lord willing. I do want to make sure that I am doing my part in helping other leaders out there because I feel like if we work together, and we are encouraging and supporting each other and empowering each other, then we can raise up even better leaders. I have a 14-year-old, so I'm always thinking about the next generation. If I can explain some of these things that I've learned along the way that have served me and even some things that haven't, then that's going to help someone out there who needs to hear it. All right. So next week, we're going to talk about a little bit more about why authenticity matters. We're also going to be talking about how to lead authentically. All right. I do highly encourage you to come into my community. I actually have a group. So when you come into the community, you create a free profile. You come in, you click on groups, and you will see that I have a group called the Unforced Pathway to Leadership. All right. To authentic leadership. Click on that. This video will be in there along with all the rest of them. They are called experiences because that's what we believe it can be in communities, how everyone learns. All right. So, like I said, all these videos will be in there. Let's continue the conversation. All right. I want you to come in there. I want you to be open and honest, and it is a safe space. You don't have to have your name attached to your replies. Any questions that are asked are answered anonymously. And if you go into a discussion board and ask a question in there, there's actually a box at the top of it that says post anonymously. So you can post anonymously very easily. Okay. At the end of the day, it's not about judging anyone, it's about helping each other. And the more we help each other, the more we can grow, the more we can expand, and the better we get. So thanks for tuning in. Please share this with any of the leaders out there that you might feel like needs to hear it and keep joining me. If you'd like to be a guest, please let me know. You can email me at jody@jodywatkins.com. Super easy. Just shoot me an email and say, hey, I saw your live stream. I would love to be a part of what you have going on. We can get on a little coffee chat. I always call them coffee chats, even though I don't drink coffee. But we can get on a little coffee chat and get to know each other. And, if we're a good fit, I would love to have you on. I'm always looking for other leaders who are leading the way to, help me out with this. So I feel like if we work together, we're going to definitely help more people. If you'd like me to come into your organization and talk more on authentic leadership, I would love to explore that opportunity as well. I love the ability to be able to come in and speak in front of, however many people, just to be sure that, we're all growing and just becoming the best versions of ourselves. The more we become best versions of ourselves, the more we're able to help other people. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all for. All right. I always say it's not about me, but how many people I can help. Have a great one.